Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome
Welcome to all of you who are out here. I'm so glad, I'm so privileged to be back here, and I'm filled with gratitude, blessing, and yes, a bit of frustration. And yes, I also believe that it's possible to hold all those things at the very same time. I feel blessed because I've just recently recovered from COVID-19, along with my daughter Sophie, and as well as with my father-in-law that was in New York. And all of us, thank God, are in a good space. I have gratitude that Nicole and Ethan have remained negative, and Nicole is certainly deserving of Mom and Wife of the Year for how she has helped to manage a divided and isolated household. We're also blessed with medical professionals in our family that helped us navigate a safe family reunion, though as we learned, even the greatest precautions still couldn't guarantee that all were safe. I felt very concerned for what could have happened and grateful for what didn't. And I realized how fortunate we are to have access to great, amazing doctors, which I know so many do not. I realize how fortunate we are in this moment, how we're able to get tested as needed. And yet now I see COVID-19 from perhaps a new perspective, one filled in my heart with frustration and concern. Even with the ability to get tested, I am more aware than ever of those individuals who have not been able to get direct access to tests and to doctors, those in our own community that remain vulnerable, those who are struggling and in need of putting food on the table while waiting days in order to just receive a result. The disparities are intense, and we just can't turn a blind eye to the most vulnerable in our own San Diego community. As we welcome Shabbat this evening, and a vaccine, too, in fact, have just arrived, we still very much remain in the eye of this COVID-19 storm, and our most vulnerable communities are in crisis. Tonight, I invite you to join me looking at the many ways in which you, each of us, can support those in need. We did a great job this past Sunday at our Hanukkah drive-in event, collecting funds and gift cards for people in critical need. And yet we know so many struggle, even in our local environs, with food insecurity and are in greater need than in any recent year imagined. Food pantries, hunger drives, so many around us. This holiday season will pass, but the need will remain. Let our entry into this Shabbat, surrounded virtually in this community, and the quieter rhythms of this time, invite us to open our hearts and to do our part as we offer what we are able. It is indeed our sacred calling. Amen. We take the opportunity to bring light from the darkness. I invite you in your homes, if you're able, to kindle lights along with us.
Eloheinu melech haolam
We welcome with festive song. We bring light and love into our hearts, Kabbalat Shabbat. We invite you to join along as you follow through on the screens that you are looking at this evening. The words, the rhythms, the liturgical response. We invite you to be part.
צדיק וישראל לב שמחה שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו רוב rise and set our intentions eastward as we call each other to prayer, the Baruch Hu. We turn to page 147 as we join together in the Hebrew. Ma'ariv, Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvituna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem, berakia kirsono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom u'mevi layla uma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Ahavat Olam, our prayer acknowledging God's everlasting love. Ahavat Olam, Beth Israel, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Ahavat Olam, Beth Israel, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu We proclaim God's oneness. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
I was thinking, as I was reflecting on the words of Mi Chamocha, I was thinking of the tsar, the narrowness. I was thinking about the Mitzrayim, the narrow straits in which we find ourselves. I was thinking back to my isolation, those past 10 plus days, thinking how narrow and confined that space is when you're alone, when you're feeling, in a sense, trapped, and not knowing when the end would be. I keep thinking about those people who continue to feel that way, the people in the hospitals that are alone without anyone, any family members to be by their sides. I keep thinking about the narrowness of the moments that we're trying to traverse to get to the other side of this god-awful pandemic. But the Mitzrayim, we are taught by the rabbis, is, in a sense, in our minds only. The expanse of our potential is far greater than the narrowness of the geographic realms in which the Israelites, we are told, exited and headed to freedom. It's with the expanse of the potential, of the knowing that we may not know where we are in this moment, but we know that it takes the journey to get there. So perhaps whatever journey you may be on in this moment, whether it's health related, whether it's coming back from school or getting ready to go back, whether it is just trying to find your way to put one foot in front of the other. The Mitzrayim, in a sense, is just that. It's what our mind holds us in captivity. And our ability to transcend is by doing the footwork. And so let us sing proud, mightily, with the ideas of Mi Chamocha, to know who is like you among all the other gods that are worshipped, not to hold us into those narrow straits, but to know that each and every one of us has the potential for expansiveness. We join together.
Yai B'nai Israel Oti leolam Oti leolam
Yeshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot hashabat v'tolam. Yeshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot hashabat כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולעולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת ושמתם בריתם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We take this moment to rise in mind, or body, or spirit. The words of the Amidah, the central sections of our tefillah, as we join together.
שפתי תפתח
take a few moments for your own silent prayer. We take a moment to reflect on those who are in need of refuah shlema, refuah nefesh, or refuah guf, of recovery of mind, of body, of spirit. So many in our community that we're thinking of at this time. Loved ones that we know of in this need. In a moment, we will share the names of those who've come to our attention. I invite you in this virtual community to share the names aloud of those you love and hold dear in your hearts so we can hold them collectively in our own. Take a moment.
In our community this Shabbat, we are especially mindful of Norman Berman, Sandy Berman, Barbara Cohen and Melvin Cohen, Brett Corin, Samantha Forush, Gad Ben Nirav Israel, Denise Garrick, Evie Golden, Nancy Gordon, Steve Gould, Felicity Dominguez Howell, Ellen Hutt, Michael Jesser, the Kammer Yudoff family, Heidi Krantz, David Murillo III, Nessa Bat Yosefa Shoshana, Nancy Sandweiss, Rhonda Schwartz, Randy Selleck, Sandy Shearer and Bob Shearer, Carla Silver, Patricia Spira and Marvin Spira, Sharon Thomas, Maxine Trimble and Gerald Trimble, David Tossman, Fred Valfer, Kathy Weil and John Weil, George Wise, Christy Zeich, Yonatan ben Avraham Vesara, Yitzchak ben Hinda. We think of those named as well as those within our own hearts as we join together in our prayer for healing.
הרופא לשבורי לב ומחבש לעצבותם מונה מזבח לכוכבים לכולם שמו יקרא הרופא לשבורי לב ומחבש לעצבותם מונה מזבח לכוכבים לכולם שמו Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom. About a year ago, I had this idea for this very sermon. I figured the year was coming to a close, and as news and internet companies started showing us our years in review, it would be worth it for us too to reflect on the past year. A year ago, I imagined the title for this sermon, 2020, the year of hindsight. When we say hindsight is always 2020, we mean that when we look back, we find clarity, meaning, ways of doing things differently, and oftentimes we also add a tinge of rose-colored filter to our reflective perception. And as I thought about this past year, I found that we experienced higher highs and lower lows this year, more so than other years. We lived through lockdowns, which we hoped would end a pandemic. We learned resiliency, new exercises, new recipes, new skills in our time at home. Some of us felt further from our families and friends than ever before. We saw sports and other forms of entertainment shut down, then slowly come back with modifications. We even saw the Padres win a playoff series. Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle surely happened here. We learned how to cut our own hair, or the hair of our loved ones. We were awakened to the incongruities of our essential workers not treated accordingly. As Jimmy Fallon sang, teachers should make $1 billion. We learned that March can sometimes last more than 31 days. We saw flames ignite in Australia, California, and too many other places, and we felt the flame of injustice fuel protests and hopefully in our day, systemic changes. Legends in our society died, and legends that will shape tomorrow's society were born. We lost 1.67 million individuals to COVID-19, and that's as of this afternoon. And we are seeing losses in this country equivalent to 9/11 every single day. I wish I had some redemptive lesson, some sort of frame for this year that would satisfy our longing for answers for what we have collectively lived through. Surely we have stood at the end of the secular year on the very edge of faith. The answers for which we long, answers that would bring us comfort, must forever elude us. There is no good theology to make us feel better right now. We all know in our hearts that there are those who were too young, too vibrant, too important to their family and circle of friends to be taken from us. We all know in our hearts that there were too many moments missed, birthday parties changed, weddings and graduations held in backyards, trips postponed, hands unheld, songs sung together, but with the latency of Zoom. No cheap ideas can take away the sting of those losses. So we are left with a choice: to abandon our faith, or to let our faith mature. For it takes maturity and wisdom to stand in awe before and accept the mysteries of life. In the final analysis, the tragedy of suffering ought not to detract from affirming the goodness of life. As we just learned from one who died too young this year, Jerry Sampson was one who affirmed the goodness of life. Perhaps then our tradition offers a way of examining, not necessarily the specific events of this past year, but how we reflect on them. As the Hebrew year comes to a close, we have the month of Elul, a month of introspection and reflection which leads us to do the hard work of reflection and teshuvah. I want to encourage you to think of these last days of December as another Elul, another chance to reflect on the year that was and examine your relationships with yourself, your community, and our God. And while we won't ask you to participate in day-long services like on Yom Kippur, we can take some wisdom from the correlation between Kol Nidre and Auld Lang Syne. The words of Kol Nidre say, all vows that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this day of atonement until next day of atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them, we repent. And as the clock strikes midnight and we enter 2021 quickly and speedily in our day, many of us will sing, shall old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for days of Auld Lang Syne. Indeed, even though it may feel like these are our darkest days, like we are very much still in the tunnel, although there is a light at its end, my brother-in-law reminded me that we are currently in the midst of an incredible confluence of light. Through the end of this Shabbat, we are in the longest stretch of consecutive candlelighting days in the Jewish calendar, which only happens when Hanukkah ends, when Shabbat starts, or vice versa. Over a 10-day period, we will light 50 total candles. 44 candles for Hanukkah, 4 for Shabbat, and 2 for Havdalah. In a season of dark days, our tradition responds with additional light. May this Shabbat be one of light for you and your family. May this be a Shabbat that inspires reflection as we approach the end of 2020. May this Shabbat lead us to a week of love, of health, of light. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Heather Cohen, and I'm a member of your board of directors. It's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's services. I'd like to remind you that you can find everything you need to know about Beth Israel and our upcoming events at our website, cbisd.org. Tonight, I'd like to share a quote by Ruth Bryn. God, help us now to make this new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to touch those we love. After concentration on work and responsibility, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world you are creating. We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others. We reach toward one holy, perfect moment of Shabbat.
As we begin to conclude our service,
we begin to conclude our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach. Please rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
please be seated? It has been a very difficult month in our community. It has been a difficult week in San Diego, in the United States, and in the world. The losses are unfathomable. When you hear the name of your loved one, we invite you to rise as you honor them and their memory. We are in the period of Shiva, 7 days after the burial, for Alice Feldman, wife of Zane Feldman, mother of Bernie, Susie Feldman, Lisa and Rob Orlansky, Sherry and Richard Strauss, grandmother of David, Polly, Gregory, Sam, Rachel, Sari, Jordan, Jamie, Todd, Justin, Emily, and Devin, and great-grandmother of Kaylee, Jasmine, Noah, Danny, Chase, Hunter, and Luke. And for Ina Glusman, mother of Anna Glusman, grandmother of Julia Galperin. For Robert S. Robbins, father of Shira Robbins and Peter Durdaler, of Brad Robbins and Shelley, and Marley Robbins and Kevin Gillen, husband of Sandra Goldstein, grandfather of Johanna, Lily, and Ariel. And for Saul Wasserman, uncle of Rabbi Jason and Nicole Navarez, great uncle of Ethan and Sophie. And we are in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days after the burial, for George Stanley Baroff, Irma Benson, B. Honey Epstein, Barbara Gettinger, Nathan Gordon, Paul Mitchell Malsky, Joseph Oppenheimer, Jerry Sampson, and Linda Valfer. And we remember those who died at this time in years past. H.J. Allen, Beatrice Altucher, Howard Bachrach, Richard Barrett, Michael Baser, Albert Beethoven, Larry Bite, Faye Berman, Burton Blackman, Cecilia Bloom, Ruth Bloom, Leon Bolleton, Percy Braun, William Mann Breslauer, Alan J. Carter, Bessie Chayton, Pat Adler Cole, Irving Coleman, Samuel DeShure, William Dempsey, Caroline Deutsch, Ida Engel, Marty Exper, Marie Falk, Ken Fall, Francis Fenton, Florence Field, Hilda Fishback, Jean Fried, Lottie Fried, Alan Geist, Kira Gurman, Doreen Gerson, Edward Gilbert, Genevieve Goldsband, Judy Gottesman, Avi Greenberg, Shimon Grossman, Kamran Hasidim, Lillian Haubenstock, Yanni Herdes, Gus Herman, Sally Higger, Sophie Himmel, Anita Emrich Hyman, James Eisensee, Barbara Jacobson, Alexander Jaffe, Oscar Kaplan, Marcy Kino, Ann Kolke, Rabbi Max Koppel, Lorraine Koropkin, Abraham Krintzman, Jacob Krumholtz, Augusta Krumholtz, Benjamin Kurtz, Robert Lawrence, David Levin, Ruth Levin, Sarah Levine, David Levinson, Harriet Levinson, Rachel Levy, Henrietta Lesser, Hannah Logasa, Ernest Matzner, Belle Demner McCoy, Theodore Michel, Mathwi Nadenov, Joseph O'Rourke, Max I. Olenek, Bertha Keller Plesser, William Podoloff, Rose Polar, Fred Poncia, Reva Ratner, Harry Ratner, Anita Remish, Ann Reinerson, Barry Reesner, Sylvia Robin, Robert Rockstein, Samuel Rudenberg, Adeline Samuels, Bessie Schneider, Philip Schreiber, Henry Shankin, George Shapiro, Elias Silverstein, Bruce Smith, Louis Solomon, Edna Spatchman, George Starr, Esther Stengel, Harold Stengel, Millie Stern, Sadie Stolmaker, Milton Strauss, Samuel Streichler, Sam Sukenik, Charles Schwimmer, Olga Varga, Harry Volsky, Helen Rosenzweig Vorensky, Ann Weissman, Sophie Wallachau, Rachel Yoshpe, Joseph Zemlich. If there is someone whose name I have not mentioned, please rise, share that name with your family, and know that we are holding you in our hearts. And we join together in Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayedecho Beit Israel, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May all those named and all those unnamed, may their memories always be for blessing.
Amen.
We join together, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. Oseh
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.